Hey guys, Brian here. It's another late night in the life of a software developer. Midnight's my new norm lately, especially with these brutal deadlines. You know how it is, coding till your eyes blur. The office was dead silent tonight, the kind of quiet that messes with your mind. I finally shut down my system, packed up, and left the place in darkness. It felt like the building itself was exhaling after a long day. The drive home was eerie, just me, my car, and miles of empty road. On either side, thick forests stood like silent sentinels, whispering their secrets through the wind. Trees towering above, leaning in as if they had stories to share, stories that weren't meant for human ears. And there I was, just hoping to make it home to some peace and quiet. But then, out of nowhere, I saw something, a flicker of movement in the corner of my eye. At first, I thought it was just a deer. No big deal, right? But then I saw it again. Closer this time. Definitely not a deer. What I saw was, human-like. A figure, cloaked in something torn and ragged, standing perfectly still by the roadside. It didn't move, just stared. My heart raced. My headlights hit it for just a second, and then, it was gone. I blinked, shook my head. Must be the fatigue, I told myself. Just keep driving. But the road felt different after that, like the night was closing in. Then, as if things couldn't get any weirder, my radio came on by itself. Static at first. Then a song, a haunting melody, soft but so familiar, like it knew me. I tightened my grip on the wheel, trying to keep it together. Radios don't just turn on by themselves, do they? I reached out to shut it off, but before I could, the music stopped. Just like that. Silence again, but not the kind I wanted. The silence was worse. Because that's when I heard them. Whispers. Faint, but there. They seemed to echo inside my mind, calling my name. And that's when I did the one thing you should never do. I looked in the rearview mirror. For a split second, I saw them, eyes. Cold, unblinking eyes, staring back at me from the back seat. Panic shot through me, my hands jerked the wheel. When I looked again, nothing. Just me, pale and terrified, staring back at myself. But I knew what I saw. The rest of the drive? A blur of fear. My car's creaks and groans sounded like a conversation I didn't want to hear. I finally made it home, but the feeling of being watched, it never really left. I haven't taken that road again at night. Now, I stick to the long way, through town, where the lights and people feel safe. But sometimes, when the wind is just right, I still hear that haunting tune. And every so often, a whisper, my name, echoing from that dark night. A night that still haunts me. In the heart of darkness, where whispers of the unknown linger and shadows move with a life of their own. My name is Vikram, and the story I'm about to tell you is not just a tale, it's a piece of my family's haunting legacy. Passed down by my mother, it unveils an encounter she faced long ago in a village drowned in superstition and surrounded by forces we may never fully understand. This happened before my mother was married, in a remote village tucked away from the world, where people believed in spirits, some benevolent, others malevolent. The elders would always warn of creatures that roam the night, hidden from the untrained eye. Though my mother and her brother were skeptics, their parents believed with unwavering conviction. One evening, my mother and her brother embarked on a journey to a nearby town for a friend's event. Their parents, uneasy, warned them, be home before sunset, or face the wrath of what lurks in the dark. Dismissing these warnings, they joined the celebration, lost track of time, and stayed longer than intended. By the time they decided to leave, the sun had dipped below the horizon. Friends begged them to stay the night, but my mother insisted they would be fine. As they boarded a bus to return, the darkness pressed in. The road ahead was treacherous, and there was still a river to cross, by boat, as no bridge connected their village. Yet, as fate would have it, the bus broke down with a flat tire. Impatient and undeterred, they chose to walk. No flashlight. No company. Only the dim, ghostly light of the moon guiding their path. As they hurried, a creeping sensation took hold. Something was watching. Something, following. From behind, a light began to flicker, a distant glow, growing brighter with each step they took. They quickened their pace, but so did the light, as if it was chasing them, its eerie presence wrapping around their hearts like a vice. Then came the sound. Faint at first, but unmistakable, a rustling in the woods. It was following them. What was it? An animal? Or something far more sinister? Their hearts raced as they broke into a sprint, but the creature closed in, its low growl sending shivers down their spines. Suddenly, my mother tripped, crashing to the ground. Her brother stopped, pulling her up, but the thing pursuing them was close, too close. A massive, wolf-like beast emerged from the trees, its eyes glowing a fierce red, its fur as dark as the void itself. The air grew thick with dread as it growled, inches away from them, ready to pounce. But then, something changed. Out of the shadows came a figure, tall, imposing, wielding a staff and carrying a lamp that seemed to glow with a light not of this world. The man wore ancient Indian garments, and his presence was more powerful than anything they had ever felt before. With each step he took toward the creature, the beast faltered. Its fiery eyes, once filled with rage, turned to terror. It whimpered, retreating into the forest like a scared child. Without a word, the man glanced at my mother and her brother, pointing them toward the boat station, urging them to continue. Then, with unwavering resolve, he disappeared into the woods after the retreating beast, leaving my mother and her brother to make their escape. The boatmen, listening to their tale as they crossed the river, revealed a chilling truth. The creature they had encountered was no ordinary wolf, but a malevolent entity that preyed on unsuspecting travelers. And the mysterious man? He was no ordinary human, but a guardian, a protector of the village from the dark forces that roamed the night. As they returned home, shaken but alive, my mother's perspective changed forever. What she once dismissed as superstition had now become a terrifying reality. The world was not as simple as she had believed. There were forces at play, forces that protected, and forces that hunted. And somewhere out there, in the darkness, the Guardian of Shadows still watches over those who dare to venture into the night. Beware, for the shadows never truly sleep.